What's going on, everyone? Welcome back to the Truth or Trends podcast, episode 4. My name is Carter-Samson.
And I'm Corwin Spatheros, and we believe in limited government, free speech, a merit-based society, and Christian values. All right, so once again, we're going to be plugging our social medias to our pages as well as our chapter Instagrams too. So be sure to follow those if you don't already. And make sure to follow our page on Spotify as well as subscribe to our YouTubes.
All right, so we have a very interesting episode for you guys. So basically, the new school year is starting. I'm still in high school. I know, Corwin, you're in college. So I'm
Yep.
still part of Club America, Turning Point USA chapters within high school. And we had our club fair for freshman's first day. I believe it was August 12th in the gymnasium. So each club at school had their own little setup that freshmen can go and look at. And we had our Club America table set up. We had our constitutions, we had all of our stickers, our buttons. It was cool. A lot of teachers came up. They said, "Wow, like this is pretty creative. Like you guys are doing a good job." And we did do a good job. We got a lot of signatures from freshmen. We got a lot of people to sign up. And then the first day of school, which was the next day, me and my secretary get called down to the principal's office. So we go down there. And they're like, "Do you guys think you guys did a good job at the fair?" And we're like, "Yeah, I think we did an excellent job. We got a lot of signatures. We got a lot of attention. We had a lot of compliments." And then the next thing the principal says is, "Well, we've heard that you guys were spreading mass amounts of biased propaganda at the club fair." And we're like, "Whoa, whoa, whoa! No, we're not." Each time somebody would come up to the table, I would say, "Welcome to Club America. I would ask them the question, "Do you love your country?" And I said, "This is not a Republican or Democrat club. This is a bipartisan club that encourages unification and loving your country, preserving American values. So this is not, Club Republican. This isn't Club Conservative, but we're already facing challenges, but we're going to keep going." But I just thought it'd be interesting to share because how crazy the left has been. That's just the stuff they want to do to you. They want to make you the villain.
Yeah, of course, and we get that a lot on college campuses too. That's like the one thing is we always, whenever we're pitching Turning Point to somebody, we're like, we are a nonpartisan, nonprofit organization that promotes small government, fiscal conservatism, free speech, free markets, free people. That's what we believe in. We also believe in promoting open discussion and debate, and that's pretty much it. We don't endorse any candidates. That is a completely different organization known as Turning Point Action, which is a PAC. There's a difference between a PAC and a 501c3, and they're kind of under the same Turning Point family, but they are two different organizations with two different arms of leadership with two different responsibilities in the conservative movement.
For sure, yeah. But it's funny because a lot of people get confused. It's like, yeah, sure, Charlie Kirk is right wing, Erica Kirk is right wing. Majority of the people that work with Turning Point and for Turning Point are right wing. But like you said, the institution itself, Turning Point USA, is bipartisan, right? It
Well,
doesn't
it's
talk about
nonpartisan, not like
yeah,
it's not Turning Point USA. It is a conservative organization, but
it
it's
is
not partisan. It doesn't endorse any candidates. It just promotes conservative values separate of party, promoting patriotism, small government, free speech, lower taxes, free economies, and the traditional conservative values. That's what Turning Point promotes. Turning Point USA does not endorse candidates. Turning Point Action, which is a PAC, does. There are two different organizations that have two different sets of leadership, even though they were founded under the same umbrella. And so now we have some election results. It's an election year, of course. There's two primaries, Alaska and Florida. The polls don't close in Alaska till we're all asleep because of how far west Alaska is. But we do have the Florida U.S. election primary. So we're going to start going down here. The First one here, Congressional District 20 Democrat nominee will be Wasserman Schultz, winning 45.38%, behind Holness at 23.05, and Manley in third with over 95% of the vote in on that one. We're going to now look at I'm trying to click out of this so I can find it. And I love looking at Decision Desk HQ. Great. Here we are. Florida House, District 19. The winner was Schwartzel with 20. Jim Schwartzel, the Republican winner for Florida District 19 with 29. Wow, that was a really low turnout in this one. Winning with 29.14% of the vote. Second place, Lauf with 21.98%. And third place was Oberweis with 15.72% of the vote. Continuing on, we're going to continue with Florida. Florida U.S. Senate, the Democrat nominee, Angie Nixon.
Sounds like a Democrat name.
Nixon. The Nixon name, no, but the
Angie
full name is Angie. Angie Nixon wins the Democrat nominee for U.S. Senate in Florida with 55.99% of the vote to Vindemans 44.01. The Republican primary winner was Ashley Moody. I believe she is the incumbent who replaced Marco Rubio in the Senate. She won in a landslide with 79.56% of the vote.
And she's Republican or Democrat again?
Yes, this is the Republican incumbent, Ashley Moody. She replaced Marco Rubio when he became the Secretary of State. In second place was Gleason with 13.74% of the vote, and Rivera with 4.82. The Democrat nominee for governor will be David Jolly, winning with 60.98% of the vote. Second place was Foster with 15.12, and in third place, Joseph with 9.56. The Florida Republican nominee will be Byron Donalds. There were a lot of candidates in this one. Donalds won with 47.78% of the vote, followed by Jay Collins with 25.16%. James Fishback with 10.48% of the vote. I'm genuinely surprised he did that poorly in the polls. I thought he had a really good chance at winning that, and I'm pretty shocked that there was a lot of hype at his events and stuff. That was a shock of how poorly he polled, only getting not even 20% of the vote. Renner, 8.54%. Williams at 4.8%. Rodriguez at 1.63%. Holcomb with 0.78%. Shaw with 0.46%. McCaffrey with 0.42%. Suse with 0.37%. And Nikovich with 0.31%. For Florida House District 2, Austin Rogers will be the Republican nominee for Congressional District 2 with 30.48% of the vote, followed by Gross with 16.4% and Power with 15.79%.
Bring in the Republicans, baby.
Yes, Florida House District 7 Republican nominee will be Ryan Elijah, winning with 47.29% of the vote, followed by he defeated the incumbent Mills, who only polled at 34.1, and Ulrich, the third place candidate, with 10.5.
Okay.
This was Florida District 7. Now looking at House District 14 for Republicans. Mike Beltran will be the projected winner according to Decision Desk HQ, with 45.59% of the vote, followed by Steele with 30.21 and Valenti with 9.57 for District 14. House 19, Jim Schwartzel will be the winner with 29.14% of the vote. I think we already talked about this one. Here's the last one. Florida House, District 25. Winner will be Scott Singer. He won with 31.34% of the vote, followed by Moratis with 27.46 and Franzese with 25.69. And those are all of the Florida elections. Alaska, there's 2 races. Polls close at 1 a.m. Eastern Time. There's over 15 candidates for a U.S. Senate. And at the top 3 listed, I believe that they have these based on, I think they have a ranked choice open primary, so it's like the top 2. I'm not familiar with how Alaska primaries work. The top 3 candidates are Dan Sullivan, who is the incumbent senator, with Hafner and Sullivan Jr., the other 2. Alaska, they only have 1 House of Representative seat, and the top 3 candidates are Nick Begich, he's the incumbent, followed by Strickland and Goldfarb, the other 2 of the top 3 candidates. Polls close at 1 a.m. Eastern Time, so we'll be long done with this show for the night by the time these results come in. So I might make an Instagram reel later about these. It just depends. Alaska is like way far out. Alaska is probably like one of the best time zones to watch an election, because if you live in Alaska during the 2024 election, you got to see basically the race was over before like 10 p.m. I think local time in Alaska. I remember watching the 2024 election. I think it was like called either around midnight or like 1 a.m. here Central Time, watching it in Wichita, which was pretty early compared to what some people thought it was going to take days. But I wasn't really surprised. I knew he was going to win every swing state in that fashion from the moment Biden had dropped out. So pretty much, yeah, like even if you lived on the West Coast for the 2024 election, the race was called by 10 p.m., 11, not even midnight yet. In Los Angeles, it wasn't even midnight yet, I think, when the race was called there. So, but we've got some other things we want to talk about, right?
Let's talk about the rise of Islam in the United States. It is becoming a huge issue. You have these Muslims taking over, you could say, some of our governments. You have Mamdani in New York. You have the Al Sayed, whatever his name is. And what is it? Is it Michigan?
Yes, he's running against Mike Rogers.
And Al Sayed basically swept the Democrat primary in that state.
Yeah, so it was not close. I don't think it was close.
You have Ilhan Omar, who shouldn't even be there. They're slowly but surely taking over, but I don't want to speak too soon because I don't want to say they're taking over, but there's a huge rise in Islam. So
and that's
you look at the stats.
At least with the Michigan race, though, I saw like some like clips of like Democrat rallies where like these moderate Democrats that probably split ticketed in 2024, maybe possibly voted for Trump for president and then voted for Slotkin in that general election, that they're jumping ship and aren't backing El Sayed because of how radical and so far left he is that these radical candidates are pushing away a lot of those moderate split ticket swing voters that are going to go over. And I saw like Mike Rogers' numbers have gone up since El Sayed became the nominee for Democrats in that Senate race. And
yeah,
I saw that it's a high possibility that Michigan could elect a Republican senator for the first time since like the 1990s, I believe. So that race is one that I'll be fairly interested in, as well as many others coming up with this election.
I want to dive into this fraud that we got. I want to read kind of. This is from the IRS. This is the $250 million Feeding Our Future scam. And for some background knowledge, the Feeding Our Future was a program initiated by the Minnesota state government, backed by Governor Tim Walz, Tampon Tim, where it was, yeah, there was some extra funding. It was supposed to go to making school lunches healthier and giving better quality school lunches to the schools and kids of Minnesota. But majority of that money went back into the pockets of the politicians, the Somalia fraud with the healthcare and Social Security, Medicare, Medicaid, and a lot of it went back to Somalia. So let me read. This right here. This is directly from the IRS. What I'm about to read. This is the $250 million Feeding Our Future fraud scam. So this is a woman. Her name's Najamo M. Hamed. She helped her husband, Said Erg, run a small storefront grocery store in Minneapolis called Evergreen Grocery and Deli. In April 2020, Ereg enrolled Evergreen Grocery and Deli in the Federal Child Nutrition Program as a food distribution site under the sponsorship of Feeding Our Future. Under the direction of her husband, Ahmed signed falsified meal count sheets, one saying Evergreen Grocery and Deli served 3,250 children twice a day during the week of January 24th, 2021. Between April 2020 and April 2021, Evergreen Grocery claimed to have served over 1.4 million meals to children. According to court documents, Evergreen Grocery received over $4.2 million in payments from the FOF, the Feeding Our Future. Ireg transferred funds from Evergreen's business accounts into personal accounts in his name and Ahmed's name. Ahmed knew that the large sums of money her husband deposited into her account were proceeds from illegal activity. Ahmed used at least $1 million to fund her lavish lifestyle and made purchases from Burberry, Louis Vuitton, and Canada Goose. I've never heard of that. In total, Ahmed laundered $1,381,048 in federal child nutrition program funds through her personal accounts. She then pled guilty on February 24th, 2025. That is one case I just read. What makes you think that's the only thing going on? Because of course there's more going on. You see Nick Shirley going to these quality learning centers, going in and exposing the fraud. I mean, he brought the
Yeah,
guy with him. You remember the list they had? It's like, okay, well, we have this building right here located at blah blah blah. It says they watch 100 kids, but where are the kids? It says you guys
there were
made
no kids there when he
7 million.
went.
There's no kids. It's just full of Muslims in there.
Yeah, and they're all like adult age. There's no children at these places. And, it's like another thing in New York City, Mayor Mamdani, this commie, he wants to talk about, oh, we want to tax the rich.
Yeah,
Well, you've got Canal Street where all these illegal immigrants coming from third world countries come up and they set up these bootleg designer like booths where they sell these illegal products. Some of them are literal drug. Nick Shirley was there. He's been there twice. The first time and the second time he ran into the same guy that like claimed that he owned a restaurant, but he never showed him the place when he asked about it. And like he showed him his Nick Shirley like brought the receipts, and the second time he showed him his criminal record, and like there were several times where he like witnessed like drug dealers. Like these people are also drug dealers, and like these street vendors, they found out is that if these street vendors were being taxed, that would be an additional like $1 billion in revenue going to the city of New York. So like there's all these vendors that just pay no taxes, but apparently the business executives of New York City are the ones not paying their fair share, I guess. Like make it make sense.
yeah, and who and why and what the heck, and I don't even know. Why is the money going back to these countries that support terrorists. Like, do you think, and I know this is, I don't want to say this is racist, but like, why? Why is money going to them? We know what their intentions are. We know what their thought process is. We know where they come from and where they live. We know what's around them. When you, okay, when you take in a lot of money and you go back to a country that loves to prosecute you just because you say one thing or accidentally wear something that offends them, what is stopping them from obviously beating you, right, and putting you in prison and taking your money? And guess where that money goes? To evil people that want to commit evil acts, hence terrorist groups. Oh my gosh. It totally is just, it's so hard for that to happen. No, it's not. It's super easy. That's why, I don't know why we're doing it. It's going to be easy for the money to go into terrorist pockets. They just love to disguise it as, oh, these are normal citizens that need money. Well, first of all, they're not getting it the right way. Second of all, it's just going to go in terrorist pockets, and they're going to use that for bad, right? And you also have where, if you look at the stats on this, like the average American family, I think they have on average between 1 and 3 kids. The average Muslim family has like average of like 4 to 6 kids. You do the math, you do the ratio, you take a look at the ratio. At some point, they are going to outnumber us if this rise in Islam keeps up. It might take a minute, but they will get to a point where they will outnumber us. They're going to start at the low levels of government. They're going to start at the school boards, the city council, then make their way up to the counties, the states, and eventually the federal government. And that's when the big takeover happens. I mean, like we said earlier, we're already seeing it in New York City and Michigan, and not only that, and Minnesota, but not only that, they claim that their religion is peaceful. But you had Jake Lang, who came to that big Dearborn, Michigan, what was it, protest parade, whatever. They had all the flags. There was a ton of people. I think there was a few thousand, maybe a little bit more than that. But he came. He held up a sign. I think it was something about ICE or Jesus. I can't remember what it was. But he came up. He was peacefully protesting. And then all of a sudden, you just have all of these people, all these Muslims come over, throwing rocks, trying to punch him, like running after him, attacking him. Like, really, like, it was like a 10-on-1, and this dude was just getting chased to the parking lot. It's like, are you kidding me? Is this really what America has come to? As soon as somebody disagrees with them, they get butthurt and they want to resort to violence.
Oh, it's not
That's just
just
how it
happening
is.
here either. Have you seen what's been happening in Spain as well? Like the
Oh yeah.
Spain-Morocco border?
Oh yeah.
I
Looks
watched
just
Nick
like our
Shirley.
southern.
Yeah, I watched Nick Shirley's video where he visited that area of Spain,
Yeah.
and
And he
he
almost.
literally he got chased by a man with a
Yes.
knife, and it was so bad that like a cop car had to come and pick up him and his crew and the guide he was with and like drove them to a different part of town. And
Yeah.
that was crazy. Like
I know. I
this
look
isn't a
like.
Western country. This wasn't like, oh, he was in the middle of like Kabul or Baghdad where that's just Tuesday.
Yeah.
This was in a city in Spain, Europe. And
You're right.
like there's people who will like try to say, oh, that's not real Islam and that jazz, but literally the Quran finds this stuff to be permissible. It allows bestiality, it allows child marriage, it allows invoking jihad, jizya on non-Muslims, like literally. So back when the United States first became a country, the first kind of war, I guess, the US fought after the American Revolution was the Barbary Coast War in
Yep.
like the Mediterranean, where Muslim pirates were attacking US trade vessels
Mm-hmm.
going in and out. And at this time period, that was Ottoman waters, which is now modern day Turkey. So the Ottoman Empire, they still had territory in North Africa and Arabia, parts of Arabia at this time. And one of the US ambassadors connected with an Ottoman ambassador somewhere. I think it was in London or something like that. And he was like, that's your sphere of influence. Can you make these attacks on our ship stop? And basically, the Ottoman ambassador or something like that, who was Muslim, was like, oh, they're allowed to do that because the Quran says they can do that because you guys are infidels for not being followers of Islam. So, yeah, there's that. Just Islam has always been a religion that celebrates violence, that finds violence permissible. Their so-called greatest man alive, Muhammad, he was a warlord that married a 6-year-old and slept with her at 9 years old. That's not someone you should look up to. That would be the equivalent of somebody calling EDP 445 their hero in 2026. But somehow it happens in the 7th century, and he's the greatest man alive, and he's the founder of some great religion. But you do it today, and it's a crime, as it should be. It should be a crime. That is a crime. You shouldn't be able to do that. That's objectively wrong. It should be illegal to marry a 6-year-old. So that's all I have to say on that matter of how bad things are. Charlie Kirk said it best when he said that Islam was incompatible with Western values. You're seeing it in Europe where England is becoming a third world country, Germany is becoming a third world country, France is becoming a third world country. It's happening now in Spain. It's starting to happen here in the United States. We need to be more like Poland. They have probably the greatest border security in the world, in the West. I saw a video by Tyler Oliveira, if you know who he is, and he went and visited Poland's border. They don't have like, border patrol police like we do. They have the army guarding that border with Belarus, and they they do not tolerate people crossing the border illegally there.
Yeah, and you ought to ask the question. I want to go back to the countries you brought up. We should really ask the question. You look at all these terrorist attacks. Who are they done by? Muslims. You take a look at the poorest countries in the world. What is the religion of those countries? Islam. Where are most of the kidnapping, foreign terrorist kidnapping attacks, these bombings? Islam. Oh my
There's a
gosh,
pattern there.
Muslims. Right.
There's a pattern there.
So,
That's like as mass migration in like England was increasing, their murder rates, their rape rates were all skyrocketing. And the people that speak out on that truth are getting arrested. Like they're arresting people for posting memes in the UK. It's absurd.
yeah. And people don't realize what Islam is about. Like, do I think that Israel has been transparent? No. Do I think Bibi Netanyahu has done some crazy things? Yes. I don't like when I say I support Israel, I don't support what Benjamin Netanyahu is doing. I support Israel because I'm a Bible believing Christian and I believe in the Holy Land. That's what I mean when I say I support Israel. I don't support, them violating ceasefires. That's not what that's about. But my point is why does all the liberals focus on go after Israel, but they fail to acknowledge what Iran is doing and what happens in these Muslim countries? And when you have these women in the United States that complain that, oh, women's rights are under attack, we live in such a terrible, racist, sexist country. Okay, then try to go live in Iran. Try to go live in Syria. Try to go live in Afghanistan. Try to go live in Iraq. Go try it. Go try to live in Somalia. See how they'll treat you. You might end up dead. That's just a fact. You're going to be raped. You're going to either be raped, dead, imprisoned, so many things. You're going to have to wear a hijab. It's going to be scorching 100 billion degrees outside, and you're going to have to wear this black coat over your whole body and practically all of your face.
That's what Cam Higbee did, I think, in Minnesota or Michigan, to prove
Yeah,
how easy it is like to commit voter fraud in like these super liberal cities.
I
He
saw
like
that.
put on a full burqa and like
And
basically
he went
like
around. He went around
did
to
a
the
full
voter rolls and said, "Yeah." He went around to the voter rolls and was like, hey, so I heard you guys have a new policy where if I can, it was like something like if I can show my ID and I'm Muslim, can I bring 8 free voters in to the
And they
voter
said
rolls?
yes. That's
Yeah, and
crazy.
they said yeah.
And it's like, man, we need another. It would be so funny to do if somebody out there made another like movie like Borat, but instead it's somebody pretending to be an illegal immigrant or something like that and traveling to different blue states, just seeing how easy it is to like commit welfare fraud and voter fraud in these states, like exposing it. Be
Wear
like
the meta glasses.
the only people that are in on it are like the federal government and the Republican politicians of that state. Like
Yeah,
that was. If you have you ever seen the movie Borat? It's a funny movie.
I've heard of it. I haven't watched it.
It's on Netflix. It basically Sacha Baron Cohen, a comedian actor. If you've ever seen The Dictator, he's in that too.
Okay.
He did like a fake documentary where he pretended to be a journalist from Kazakhstan. He did like a cross country trip from like New York City to like Los Angeles, and but the only person who was in on it was like Pamela Anderson, who had a cameo at the very end of the movie. And basically, nobody knew they were being in like a theater movie that was like a comedy. Everyone that he interacted with as his character Borat thought he was like a real journalist from Kazakhstan. It's so funny. And like apparently he was being like actively investigated by the federal government while he was making that movie. It's so
Yeah.
hilarious. Like I read somewhere that basically, yeah, they were following him closely because like he was driving in an ice cream truck with a pet bear in it across country. Like it was
Yeah.
crazy. Like it's a really funny movie. And I think he made a second one, and I think in the second one they got into like I think it was like the 2020 RNC. So I'll have to check out the second one because I think they made that one on Amazon Prime. But I know the first Borat is on Netflix if you haven't watched that one yet. That's a hilarious movie. I recommend.
I'll definitely check it out. All
But it's
right,
like
listen.
yeah, because on the Borat thing, what makes Borat even funnier watching today because of the way he acted out as being like a journalist from Kazakhstan, which is a former Soviet republic.
Yeah.
Like watching that movie today, there's like some scenes that are pretty funny where he's like talking with this lady about etiquette or something. There's something he said, and like I don't remember what it was off the top of my head. And it's like this movie now almost looks like a cautionary tale of why we shouldn't have third world immigration. Like it's just a complete coincidence how the movie aged that way, but it's a movie I recommend. Borat.
All right, I'll check it out. All right, listen, guys, look into my eyes. If you can vote, really listen to this. If you can vote, do not vote these Muslims into office. If you want to lose your country, go right ahead. But we do not want to lose the United States of America. Like Corwin brought up earlier when he made the reference to Charlie Kirk, Islam is not compatible with Western civilization and Western values. We do not want to turn the U.S. into a Muslim country. That is the last thing that should ever happen. You got anything else, Corwin?
Nope, but to end this off, if you live in the state of Kansas, make sure that you vote for Ty Masterson come November 3rd. We need to flip this seat here in Kansas. For the past 8 years, we've had a Democrat governor. I've only lived here I'd say this August will make it 3 years ago around this time is when I first moved to Kansas. I find it absolutely mind-boggling on how Kansas has had a Democrat governor for the last 8 years, despite the fact that in the past 3 presidential elections, the Republican candidate has won Kansas by double-digit points. I think it was like 20 points in 2016, and it was like 16 and 17 or something like that for both 2020 and 2024. Both U.S. senators here in the state of Kansas are Republican. Also, November 3rd, go vote Roger Marshall, re-elect Roger Marshall. All but one of the House districts is Republican. The one Democrat is up in the northeast in Johnson County, which is the most liberal county in the state. So it's like Tracy Mann, Derek Schmidt, Ron Estes. Go vote for them if you live in the state of Kansas. I don't know who the Republican nominee is for that Democrat district. We're probably going to lose that seat anyway because that's how Johnson County rolls. We also have a Republican Attorney General, Chris Kobach. He's great. He's a great champion of the Second Amendment. I'll be voting for him this November as well. And we have a Republican Secretary of State, and he's now the outgoing Secretary of State. The guy that's running now in his place, Pat Proctor, a military veteran. He used to be a state legislature. I've met him. He's a great candidate. He has my vote. If you live in the state of Kansas, vote Pat Proctor for Secretary of State as well. But somehow we have had a Democrat governor despite every other office being Republican. On top of that, the state Senate and the state House have been controlled by Republicans with super majorities for some time. But the Democrats have been in governor's mansions the last 8 years. So this November 3rd, if you live in the state of Kansas, vote for all of those candidates, especially Ty Masterson, who was endorsed by President Trump throughout the primary. He won in a landslide in the primary, and we look to elect Ty Masterson to be the next governor of Kansas.
All right, and I guess I'll just plug my state. For the Buckeye State, the great state of Ohio, vote for Vivek Ramaswamy for governor. Got the signed hat right here. Got to meet him. You want lower costs, bigger paychecks, better schools, more jobs brought back to the state. Vote for Vivek. You don't want to vote in Amy shut down Acton, who is a drug addict, who shut down. Ohio was the first state to be shut down from the COVID-19 pandemic. My state, unfortunately, because of Amy Acton. Do not vote
Was
for
she the
Ann.
governor back then?
No, she was the head of the Ohio Department of Health with Mike DeWine. Yeah.
All
And I
right.
guess
Well,
I'll talk about my governor real quick. So we've actually had a Republican governor the past 8 years, but he is a rhino.
Good.
Don't like Mike DeWine.
Oh,
We need a real fiscal conservative in the governor's mansion in the state of Ohio, and that is Vivek Ramaswamy. Go vote for Vivek this November.
all right. This was episode 4 of
Yes, sir.
the
Let's
Truth
do it.
Over Trends podcast. We thank you for watching. We'll see you in our next episode. God bless you all, and God bless these United States of America.
God bless the USA. See you guys.